So we are back into it. Welcome back, everybody. Thank you so much for your patience. We're seeing this duo side or the picks coming in from Saudi Arabia. We already saw that they've got the Decker as well as the Argus. And Shadow, I guess, take it away.
Yeah, and then we're going to see the Zaris and the Drongo, and then the Grim is going to get picked up. So we know what Saudi Arabia's duo lane is going to look like. It's going to be a really aggressive Decker paired with the Grim. So really just caging, stunning, slowing, hitting very, very hard. So we're either going to be looking at a equally offensive duo lane or a lane that can respond in kind with some sort of defense coming out from the side of the United States. So uh, I'm anticipating a Bellica support, just because that's kind of like the next best thing from a Decker. But on the flip side, if I don't know too much about Zihi, but they could whip out a phase as well, to kind of counter the aggression coming out from the Grim and the Decker duo lane. So we'll have to see about that. But to my point before everything crashed, Gadget, bad matchup for Argus. Very difficult to solo bolo, very difficult to get lane priority into. So they really just want to enable their Argus to have a good lane and really be able to shove, get priority, and go either to the off lane, to the objective, to the duo lane, to do something around the map.
And with that Aurora ban, I expect them to just lock in the Quang there for their offline and then leave, I suppose, either the flex pick as Quang or just leave the jungle open to like see a bit fish out what is going to be their draft for. On the other side, I expect a Gideon to come out here from the US along with what is supposed to be a Richter would be most predominant. Maybe a Steel as well. Just going for that beefy front line, extra CC. It never hurts.
Yeah, we're still missing the support coming from US Red here as Saudi Arabia. Oh, sorry. The support from Saudi Arabia as USA picks up the Kwang right there. So I guess the bans are making sense because
Yeah.
they've taken out the Fang Mao from earlier.
Yeah, we were definitely like, yeah, that makes a lot more sense. It did not make sense for Saudi Arabia to ban their one trick from themselves. So yeah, as I mentioned, the Bellica coming out on the side of what I thought was the United States, but regardless, on the side of Saudi Arabia, they are getting kind of that next best thing to what Decker does in terms of just lane aggression and being able to create control for the aggressive carry. So in this case, Drongo, very similar to Grim in that nature. He wants to be fighting, pressuring, killing. His whole MO is not sit and hit creeps and wait until 20 minutes, quite as much as like a Kira or a Sparrow. But Malix, you got it right, buddy. Richter.
And on the other side, we have Chimera to round out the draft for the US as well. With that said, I think I like the draft of the US having that Quang Chimera, Grim, or I think they just have so much play potential. Chimera just being that unleashed dog can just jump in whenever he wants and then have his team follow or just follow up on his team engagement. On the other side, though, we have the SARS, a scary pick, we have the Terra, a scary pick, a Richter, an even scary pick, but and then we have the Bellica, a lot of CC on their side, a lot of catch potential as well.
Exactly what you predicted, Malix. There's a reason why you're here at the desk. But of course, we are going to also ask Shadow. So, Malix, you're saying that you like the USA draft right here, but we're looking at the between these two drafts. What's your pick, Shadow?
We had a conversation earlier about ping, playing on ping, and Richter is very much feast or famine. You got to hit those whiplashes, and they're playing a Richter on ping. So I have to give
Yeah.
the edge to the United States here. They're going to be just famining all day, unless I'm wrong. But I don't see this being a good game for Richter just because of the ping.
I'm going to have to vote for Saudi Arabia here, just because, both of you have voted US. I'm going to go with the underdog. That leaves us with Saudi Arabia. But before we head into this game, we're going to ask the question: will USA Red make America great again, or will the Arabian kings of the oil reign supreme? Let's welcome TJ, DJ, and Falcon.
Thank you so much, Ardog. Welcome everyone to the casting desk here for the first game of Group B here in Season 2 of the Nations League. Saudi Arabia versus USA Red. TJ here, Falcon alongside me. And Falcon, I think it's been fair to say Group A has been served as nothing but absolute stomps and slaughters. Are we going to have the same thing in Group B? Or is this going to be some pretty competitive stuff?
My heart wants to say it's competitive, but at the same time, I mean, we either cast stomps or bangers, TJ, so it can definitely go
It can be
either
both,
or.
though. It can be both.
It can be both, yes. Normally it isn't, though. And I mean, looking at these drafts, I do definitely prefer the US draft. The Chimera is a bit of a weird one, but with Rampage banned, with Desires and Terra already picked, I can see why they've gone for that. But it is a lot easier to get that CC. The Decker, the Krong, is just so much better in terms of engagement. Dreadnought as well from Argus. And then when you look at the Saudi Arabia, the only truly reliable CC they have is that Colosseum, which is the point and click. And even then, that just contains them in an area. It's not going to be easy to hit that seismic, so it's not going to be easy to hit that Whiplash, especially on the NA ping they are going to be playing on. So, I mean, Saudi Arabia definitely have a hill to climb.
You can certainly say that the odds are really not in their favor, of course, with the service decided by a coin flip as well. USA Red going to feel pretty good. They did have to watch, though, their B team be eliminated from Group A with that loss to Germany Black in Group A's. A bit of a tiebreaker. And now, of course, I mean, USA Red, this is literally the Doctors, right? This is the PCC 8 champions, technically the best team in North America. And it feels like, fielding this entire roster into a tournament like the Nation League is a bit of a cheat code here with how North America tend to do in EU tournaments. Maybe this is what they need, though.
Yeah, has NA ever won an ED tournament? I don't think they have.
No.
So this is definitely going to be one of their best shots so far. But remember, they do have to play those substitutions at some point. Then again, their subs are still pretty good, North included in that. So that's definitely not going to be an issue for this US team. And already we get a slight invade. Chimera and Argus level 1 is pretty strong, especially with their dual lane backing up. Saudi Arabia is playing rather safe, which I do like. KSA already aware that the USA team is invading, and immediately we can see on the map the Zaros and Terra getting a nice ward onto the fight camp, mirroring the movement of the US team. So we're not going to see any sort of action in this early game. And I mean, just a lot of these games so far we have seen, TJ, it's been a bit boring at the start. It is not really much action. And with the USA Red being in this game, that certainly could be a bit different.
Of course, I mean, when we see how North America likes to play Predecessor, especially with the PCC, there is a lot of brawling. There is a lot of fighting. The teams definitely just go at each other from the off here. But of course, the games we've been treated to have been, as you say, pretty sound, pretty stable. Dare I say, boring at times up until about 7 minutes. It seems to be 7.5 minutes is just a time when it goes absolutely bananas. And that could be for either team as well, as I say, with the earlier exchanges there. Both teams definitely respecting a pretty decent level 1 from both, of course, with the Richter Hook from KSA or even the Argus Dreadnought that can land from Seismic in that mid lane as well. Just having a little bit of a hop around the map here, of course, and being on that territory. Let's talk a little bit more about that Saudi Arabian composition as well here. I'm really happy to see the Bellica, but hold that thought. It seems that Saudi Arabia already heard me about the boring start. They're going to get a bit of pressure on towards this duo lane already.
Yeah, but the dual lane of QNG, he got level 2 first, so they can still apply pressure, can crash this wave into tower and reset it. The Whiplash does go right this time, and we can see Q has used his shield, but Ragnarok is coming in from the side. He's been caught by Ward, but he has got Blink if he wants to go in.
So the opportunity there's the Blink looking for the barricade. Stun going to find it on towards Zihi, not the target they were looking for. Cure's Blink had been burned in that previous engage, most likely from the Whiplash connecting, but a Blink down on towards Ragnarok on this jungle. And we did see Falcon in the show matches that Ragnarok playing so aggressive, sometimes I would say to his detriment as well, but already starting this game off with trying to make an immediate impact.
He tried to, but that just put him behind. He lost his Blink. He didn't get anything in return, and he's already lost his forward camp. Mav is on the blue buff. He's going to try and pull it away. It is still level 3 for both of them. I don't know which one has Hunt. The aggro is going to lose. Emma's going to get there first, though.
Ambush going to drop down on towards Ragnarok. Is able to back away towards his Blast Flower, but the Arcos are on the way here. Saudi Arabia looking to collect on towards Mav, but Mav's hitting some shots. M blinks away, and Ragnarok is going to go down. Seismic with the follow needs to connect one more ability, and Seismic will find it, and looks like he will avoid that final killing blow from the tower shot. First blood goes the way of USA Red in the red jungle.
the Spirit Wind generation from the Chimera kept him alive for such a long time. Double stun coming in for Zihi. Cage is going to go through KSA. He's going to force a blink. It's going to be a 2v1 for ACM. He's going to use the rad rounds onto Cure. Doesn't do enough damage. Zihi is still piling on the pressure. Hasn't got any other abilities. Ragnarok is also returning over. That's going to be the end of that. KSA and ACM are probably going to be forced to back. But going back to that first blood, these regeneration from the Chimera just meant that Mav could stay in the fight for a bit longer. It allowed Seismic to get over, have that damage from the Argus, and Itari just wasn't able to get into the fight as the Bellica, which caused the 2 kills to go through. Seismic was a bit careful, had to be a bit careful on it. As speaking of, Itari is coming over, but I don't think they're just going to get anything else.
There was a ward in that river just outside the Fangtooth pit that did spot out the rotation from Itawai. You also have to imagine as well that the communication from USA Red to signal that Itawai is missing coming out from Seismic to the rest of his Doctor's teammates as well. I mean, we've seen this Falcon, of course, with these teams being formed by players of the same nation or, or thereabouts nearby, at least here. But USA Red, having already the experience of playing together, scrimming together, but it certainly puts them in a very good position here. Dare I say, this is a team that could probably make the finals when we get there later on next month.
It certainly could be an upset if they don't, honestly. It depends on how the bracket does turn up. They have to be first seed in this table, though, to actually show how strong they are. And I think so far they are definitely showing it. They are looking for this first Fangtooth 5.5 minutes in, so it's only been alive for the 30 seconds. It's going to be 500 damage on the hunt, which goes through. That is going to be the first Fangtooth for the US as nearly as early as possible, using that Chimera to great effect in this early game. So a good job by them. However, I think Saudi were correct in not going for the contest. We can see that Ragnarok is on the other side of the map, but it's not going to be able to find anything because Sneaks has also reset. It's just going to take his own jungle. So just a free Fangtooth for the side of the US team.
Pure looks like he just had to use that the deflect to shield to save himself from a Riplash that KSA that was homing in on this Grim. And even though Saudi Arabia are playing on ping, KSA is definitely not seeming like it at the moment. He has hit one important Riplash to burn the blink and nearly hit a second one there, but of course that Grim.exe, the deflector shield, able to come in clutch just when they need it here. But I like how you mentioned about Saudi Arabia as well, is that they're deciding not to contest, just trying to farm up, trying to keep on this map and trying to keep as much gold going into the team as possible. Conceding one of the early Fangtooth as well, not the worst thing to lose here, but just got to make sure you don't lose too much. Sneaks is on to level 6 there. M's not really caring about that too much though.
No, I don't think it's going to be too much, especially when M does get that level 6 themselves. It is going to be pretty easy. And the main thing is Ragnarok getting that level 6, getting that Colosseum online. But the rotation from Seismic is more than enough. That is going to be another kill towards the US team, going to be picked up by Seismic himself. We can see that Atari and Ragnarok are nearby, but I think there's going to be too late at this point. Kyo hasn't got much mana. It's only level 4, just total level 5. But we can already see the rest of the team going through. But saying that, Atari is coming over, changing his mind once again. Thank you for baiting me very much, as we might see a 2v2 in the jungle. But at the very least, USA Red are invading. They might be trying to look for this red buff.
Be careful there. I mean, Ragnarok's got Itawai and KSI. Mav jumps forward with the ambush and the call on towards there's a Bellica here. He's having to retreat. The Seismic Assault does land there. There's the Nora Disruptor as well. The Seismic has too much mana, doesn't take too much damage, but he's got to back away because still Ragnarok is here. He ticks over towards level 6. The Colosseum will be available, and ACM is here to provide help. And there's the Colosseum. Mav doing what they can. Chimera is certainly good at going in, but cannot get out of the fight. But Sneaks rotating from this right-hand side. Can he catch on to a member? Surges forward. The containment fence locks 2. There's the Tether. Another Riplash lands, but Ragnarok does not want this fight. Sneaks does. The fury of the heavens and a swing of his swords. Gets a double kill for Sneaks. Sorry, single kill. And looks like Zihi secures that second pick.
Go for secure, not stolen there. I'm conflicted on that play. I do like how USA are going for that aggressive plays, trying to use the Chimera, and the fact they got the kill in the Dura lane to try and make them even further ahead. But it was maybe a little bit too aggressive. They didn't really respect the death timers and the fact that KSA was returning from the base towards the lane, so was able to be there at the same time. However, Sneaks' rotation was on point, which saved them the play. KSA going for a rotation into the mid lane. Seismic playing safe, playing really well so far on this Argus. And I mean, Saudi Arabia at least has kills on the board. They did get the shutdown on Mav as well, so they have got some gold in their pocket, but it is still very much a uphill climb for them. And I just want to talk about something whilst the mini prime is started. Q is building resolution on Grim, which I don't think I've ever seen before, but it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out.
Well, so team fighting is about to erupt. The mini prime will be taken away. Mav still dealing damage. Sneaks to hits 2 with the surge. That was so perfect from the USA Red solo laner. Zihi grabs the second kill of the game, but the team play, the moves were exceptional, and immediately USA Red peels straight back on towards that mini prime, and there will be no possible contest from Saudi Arabia. 9 kills to 2 now, as over on the left-hand side, Cure building into the resolution has got 1 for the side of ACM, a solo bolo to add to USA Red's kill count.
Yeah, that's just adding insult to injury at that point. I'm not entirely sure how that happened, but a kill is a kill. And I mean, Sneaks once again sent it up so well, having that Tether, having that double knock up to follow. See, he followed this Decker, which, I mean, we were talking about Rampage in the first bracket, but Decker, every single game we've seen of this character has been just undeniably broken. Decker's just able to do so much in these team fights, in these skirmishes, those status balls, those containment fences. It's just ridiculous. And once again, that second Fangtooth has spawned. Ragnarok might be caught out.
Containment fence does land on towards this Zarus, and Mav jumps in with the ambush. Colosseum thrown down, maybe trying to get the pick on towards Zihi, but Ragnarok can't get caught in, and Seismic's looking to flank from behind the right-hand side. All eyes going to be on the jungler for Saudi Arabia, and they will take down Ragnarok, and they want even more. They're still on the hunt, catching out Saudi Arabia inside of the river. It is a bloodbath as that river starts to run red, as USA Red are going to pick up 4 kills on the left-hand side, and immediately they're onto the second Fangtooth.
It's what do you do in that situation? Yes, you got the jungler, but that doesn't matter when all of your rest of the squad is dead. It's gonna be an easy pickup for the Fangtooth. Seismic and Cure basically untouched in the backline. Snakes once again, that rotation from the offlane first meant that the numbers advantage was towards the US side. And I mean, the fact that Saudi Arabia had no wards there in the first place, didn't know that the setup was happening, Ragnarok basically walking into his own death, was a major player factor in that point. It just meant that Saudi wasn't aware, wasn't grouped up in time, and USA immediately pulling the trigger, using as much as they can to try and kill the jungler. And just to follow up on that point was more than enough. I mean, KSA, as a Richter, is just not tanky in his state. He is still a support. He's not going to have any items. Your main front line is going to be Aaron Ragnarok, and if they get blown up like that, what can you do?
Oh, it's why he's going to be the next target. The Stasis Bomb combining with that Dread Nova. Containment fence down. Zihi's on the top ropes, and Zihi's going to take his 3rd kill of the game here for USA Red. Seismic had the ultimate charging. 3-0-6 scoreline on that Decker as well. And it's just, again, gives an opportunity for USA Red to take even more of this map away with the mini prime buffed up, provided by Sneaks, who is rotated from his right-hand side once again. And on the left, Cure is also got to deal with ACM. A second solo bolo on the ADCs on the left-hand side, and immediately USA Red, they want to punish straight in towards the red jungle. Ragnarok stunned up by Stasis into Dread Nova, and Sneaks is here to provide the setup. He goes to the blink, misses the Fury of the Heavens, and Ragnarok is able to jump away, but Cure says, GTF out of my jungle for USA Red. 16 kills to 3.
I mean, the momentum is just so powerful. In that 30 seconds, we saw about 3 different plays from the US, all conjoined towards that invade, the mid-tower push, Sneaks' rotation, using that mini prime to get those enhanced minions. We saw his Cure just run down ACM. It wasn't even like a competition, wasn't even close. And then as soon as they had those two control lanes, had that mid lane, had that dual lane, they collapsed onto the jungle, found a Ragnarok, just waiting, and got an easy extra kill at that point. And they can keep doing this every single time now that a mid lane tower's gone, that dual lane tower's gone. All they can need to do is just take down this last tier 1 tower in the off lane, and then the full jungle of Saudi Arabia is available for the US red team.
We're just having a look at that scoreboard as well. The items so much in favor of USA Red, seeing 2 items near enough across the board. I think Zihi sitting on 1.5 items still, as Saudi Arabia hitting their first item break marks here. It says that uphill battle is no longer a hill, more like a sheer vertical drop at this point, as 16 kills to 3, over a kill a minute here from USA Red, and they are playing with so much confidence. They're looking to lock down M, and he will be hit by the containment defense. Mav jumping forward to blink away from M just to try and escape that reckless charge to get a little bit more distance, but they're not going to care about it. Mav with the ambush on towards M gets to kill. A Colosseum thrown out, but it's just going to be the stadium for his own death. That's the Zarus down. The Saudi Arabia is still keeping this fight going, and Mav is going weak. ACM jumping forward, the Impale does land, but it's just too far behind. There is nothing that this team on Dust can do. It's why the last one left. Seismic Assault does confirm the CC, but USA Red will confirm a full team wipe in the right-hand side of the map.
Ouch. I mean, it was bad. Let's not put it anyway. It was really, really bad, but that just makes it even worse. The fact that Saudi Arabia nearly had something there. They nearly got a decent amount of damage, but Zihi, that Rift Walkers into the double stun combo on to ACM and KSA, basically shut down any sort of comeback that they had a chance. And this was 4v5. Q was just pushing this dual lane the entire time, taking a single tower for himself. And this Grim cannot be fought. He is 7-0-1, using the shield to block the Rip Blast once again. But even then, I don't think you pulled this Grim into your team, because he can 2v1 at this stage. And we go back to what you were saying earlier, TJ, with how much this US team has played together. And we can see it right there. They had that play set up. They had it already. Saudi Arabia, they were trying to respond to it, trying to at least recover it, but it was just too little, too late.
Already here, approaching that 16-minute mark. Another mini prime has spawned here. Already 21 kills to 3 for USA Red. It seems to be a question of when, not if, do they decide to take it. And immediately, it seems like they read that mind. Sneaks and Mav already on the mini prime, making sure that this lead cannot be interrupted. They're all sitting on shutdowns. They're all sitting on bounties to their head. The Fangtooth is going to spawn, and once again, I don't think there's anything that Saudi Arabia can do to really stop USA Red picking up the free Fangtooth Monty, securing themselves the permanent buffs to their power and their defense as well. And Saudi Arabia just looking at their position on the minimap, looking at the wards down as well. USA Red are so free to start this one up and complete the hat trick of neutral objectives.
I mean, Argus damage on objectives is always so strong, especially with his passive Disintegrate. Just means that he can easily stack it up with the Particle Shredder. And I mean, you can't contest it at Saudi Arabia. So I do like how they have gone for that extra farm, just to get anything they can at this stage. Again, they are going to get a tower in this off lane, but M being there, I mean, he is going to sacrifice his life. Most likely, Sneaks is going over there now. Though in a 1v1 situation, it should be okay. M should be able to just walk out of there as long as he dodges the terror, but Magnot's coming back in.
He's going to go for the 2 versus 1, but Sneaks, is he strong enough to do the 2 versus 1? He's certainly doing it right now as the Fury of the Heavens deals a lot of damage. Sneaks in a 1 versus 2, looking for M, and Mav is going to interrupt and provide the damage. Ragnarok bites the dust once again. Even the minions getting involved, and M has to use a reckless charge to get the distance, but he will be hunted down because this Chimera is on the hunt. Once this terror, there's the ambush into the Unleash, into the death, and whilst all this is going on, pushed into their own base by Zihi and Cure on the left-hand side. The inhibitor will drop, and we're not even at 20 minutes.
We're at 18 minutes, which is ridiculous in terms of game speed. But, I mean, it's just been non-stop. From that first blood, it has been USA just pushing as much as they could. And, I mean, Saudi Arabia has tried. They have tried to do some things to stop it, but everything has not worked for them. It looks like USA are just going to try and end at 8.5 minutes.
Wow. I mean, with 11 minions under the court as well,
It's gonna
and Saudi
end.
Arabia jumping back towards their fountain here, not really mounting much of a defense. It seems that the writing is on the wall. Might have been the quickest game of Predecessor I think I have ever casted. 18.5 minutes. USA Red takes their first game in Group B.
Stomple bangers. Yeah. What else can you really say? That was just a full-on destruction from USA Red Team. Obviously, it wasn't the most fair for Saudi Arabia. They did have to play on very high ping for them, but at the same time, I mean, USA Red, they were playing the map much more actively. They were doing the macro plays. They were taking these objectives, and that was what got them ahead. That what got them the gold lead, especially with the farm as well. And I mean, this is not at the end for Saudi Arabia. They still have 2 more games to play, same with USA Red. So there is still plenty to play for. And as long as they can keep their mental, they still have a decent chance of getting to the next stage.
I think you would be forgiven actually to say that Saudi Arabia, maybe towards the end of that game, probably already thinking ahead to game number 2 and game number 3 as well, saying like, you know what, yeah, this game's done. Let's just forget about it. Let's move on because there's still 2 games to play. Group B, of course, is a round robin. 3 matches will be played here. That is going to do it as well. Talk about a statement game. That is certainly how you deliver one from USA Red. It's going to be all of that from us here on the Casters Desk. We're going to go to a break, but when we come back, the post-game breakdown, we're getting us ready for game number 2.
Welcome back to the desk. My name is Ardog with the Triple G's. We are back with Dr. Shadow and Malix. Thank you so much, TJ, DJ, and Falcon, our favorite British duo in it. But now we got to talk about this game that we just watched. Saudi Arabia as well as USA Red coming out on top. That was a tough game for Saudi Arabia. They are in the Middle East. We saw how much USA definitely came on strong. They showed to be a very bold and strong contender in this first game in Group B. Dr. Shadow, you mentioned this earlier, but that Richter on ping.
Richter on ping went almost exactly as expected. Yeah, he hit a couple hooks here and there, a couple whiplashes, but there were also a great number of examples of whiplashes that should have been hits that just, whiffed. The one that stands out to me, there was a fight at the very first mini prime fight, I believe. They were in a tight corridor space. There were 3 team members of the United States kind of just standing in front of him, and he just shot it straight down the middle. It was just, he like threaded the needle perfectly in the worst possible way. And I really do think that as well as some of the other rotations that he made onto Seismic's Argus in the mid lane, I think some of those were just really ping related hook misses, because Argus is not the most mobile hero. He's short, but generally you should be able to hit an Argus, especially if you're coming from behind him. But yeah, it was definitely evident to me that they were playing on ping, so a little unfortunate in that regard. But that's not like me huffing a big huff of copium about how they were playing and how they lost. I mean, Team USA was just dominant all across the map in all 3 lanes on all the objectives, picking the right fights, making the perfect rotations. We saw that one team fight at the red buff early on where Sneaks rotated all the way from the off lane just to help get a clean up with a double kill at the end. The second point I just wanted to highlight out of that game was this Argus with the recent buffs to Particle Shredder. You need to have a hero in the mid lane who kind of counters wave shoving in order to get lane priority, and Bellica, I don't think Bellica is the answer. Bellica her wave shove is a lot weaker compared to this Argus, especially since the buffs. So I would really like to see different heroes picked out, whether it's a Howie, whether it's an Argus, whether it's an Iggy, something that's going to kind of counteract his ability to get priority and make rotations. So those were the big things that stood out to me in that game.